I just want to start by thanking all of you for being here today and being part of our beautiful community. I really look forward to another year of having the honor of teaching you guys and torturing you too. That's this nice combination that I get to do. So we're continuing our studies at the Shala, Light on Life, and the koshas, the layers of who we are. We've gotten from the outermost layer of who we are, which is the physical body, and how we keep that clean and healthy, to our pranic layer of who we are, our energy, and how we keep our energy vibrant and strong. And using yoga to keep our bodies healthy and our energy strong, we start to realize how those two are very integrated, and our practice giving us a place to charge the energy, and also in that keeping the body healthy at the same time. So then 2 weeks ago we started the third kosha, which is chapter 4, which is what? Mana Maya kosha. Mana meaning what? The mind. I always say I have to say that with an Indian accent. The mind. So, we've been on this one for 2 weeks, and again, I feel like this is really an important topic for us as yoga practitioners to study and to understand, because it is truly one of the things that make yoga as a physical practice unique, because it integrates the workings of the mind. So the idea for us, and Iyengar wrote about this in chapter 4, when he actually in English titled this chapter what? What was the title of chapter 4? Clarity. So, so the idea of yoga is that we're meant to bring sharpness and clarity to the mind through the practice of yoga. So the physical body, the energy body, now we're using sort of the energy, the breath body, to bring the mind into this and to make this a mindful practice where we're, the example I always use is the Tibetans refer to meditation as mind training. So literally all of you are going to do Ashtanga prep today, which is about an hour and 20-minute practice. And while you guys are making your bodies physically strong and flexible, and you're plugging in your pods and getting the energy to run through the nadis, the meridians, and keeping you vibrant and healthy, at the same time, you guys are going to be doing this mind training. How do we do that? Last week you told me 2 ways that an Ashtangi trains the mind on their yoga mat. What are those? Breath, right. So number 1 is our breathing, the Ujjayi breath. It's not any old breath, it's Ujjayi breath. So that specific breath helps us move the energy through the meridians or the nadis, while at the same time it has this sort of beautiful sound that helps the mind stay focused on the present moment. And also the energy force is also something that can hold the mind as well and keep us present in the pose we're in the breath that we're in. And the more you do the practice, the more you're able to really train the mind. So I always remind my students that I am your breath teacher. So I am here to help everyone improve their breath practice while they're on their yoga mats. And it's something I take seriously because, as Guruji, my teacher, said, without it, we're just doing gymnastics. You know, that is really at the heart of what we're doing every single time we come to the mat. So what was the second thing we studied last week about how we're going to actually train the mind?
Drishti.
Drishti. It's good. I like how you guys checked in with each other. So what's a drishti? What is a drishti? Yeah, it's a gazing point that helps you focus. So in Ashtanga, every single asana posture has a very specific drishti, and every vinyasa has a very specific drishti. So this pose is Janu Shirsasana, right? What is the drishti of the actual asana itself when I'm doing 4 breaths here? Is it my knee? Pada, exactly. You guys even said it in Sanskrit. So my foot is the main drishti, and depending on my flexibility, that might shift a little bit. But the idea is that it's going to keep my body in alignment, but it's also, that's the physical practice, but then the mind practice is it holds my mind in place. So the 8 limbs of the Ashtanga practice, we know that the latter limbs are about exactly this, the internal limbs, and the The fifth limb is what? So we go through, the fifth limb is pratyahara. We're withdrawing from the senses to focus. And then what's the sixth limb? T-nose. Dharana, which literally means to hold. So the idea with a drishti and a breath is it's going to be what we use to hold our minds right here, rather than what happens most of the time is our minds are running all over the place, right? So I asked you guys just to do a little bit of homework this week, and while you're driving in your car sometime this week, to just pay attention to where all the different places your mind goes. If it's a 15-minute drive, half an hour drive, whatever, you notice that almost like in seconds, you could be thinking about, oh crap, I got to do this thing at work today, and you might dig that in your mind into the ground a little bit, and then your mind will jump to something that someone said to you yesterday, and then you're driving thinking about that, and then sometimes the mind starts making up stuff around that thing or whatever, but you realize just in a 15-minute drive from the Shala back to your house, all the different places that your mind went. We're not even aware of it. It's very unconscious, right? So in the yoga mat, when you're in your mat doing Jana Shirsasana, the idea is that your mind is not running all over the place. Your mind is being held in this one position. And the truth of it is, it's not easy, right? But it is the one place where I could actually notice if I'm here, that instead of being here, I'm actually thinking about something I have to do on Monday. But it's not Monday, you know? So the idea is I train my breath to go, no, let go of it, Di, it's not Monday. You're in this pose, you're here right now with these people, you're practicing yoga. And the mind keeps coming back to it. So I always compare it to having dogs, maybe more so than kitty cats. I have 2 dogs. And the idea is they're like, would be wild, nutty dogs with no good manners if I had people come over, unless I train them. So the idea is I train my dogs with dog cookies. Does everyone do that? It's the best way to train your dog. And you say, sit, sit, sit. If you do it every day, every day, every day, every day, and that's the trick, right? Practice and all is coming. As Guruji would say, if I don't do it with them every day, every day, every day, that doesn't work. That's the magic of it. But if I do, then my dog's brains are trained and they're well behaved and they sit when I ask them to and they go to their spots when they're supposed to, and you know, and it works sort of like magic, right? Well, it's the same for us on our yoga mat. The idea is that if I come to my yoga mat and I do chaturanga every day, every day, every day, my body gets strong. If I come to my yoga mat and I breathe this beautiful, strong breath every day, every day, every day, then I have this vibrant energy. I'm very passionate. I'm very inspired. And if I do this training my mind, come back to my breath, come back to my drishti, come back to this pose every day, every day, every day, what happens? Yeah, the lake happens. So Iyengar talks about in this chapter, this idea of clarity, talks about the lake. This idea of we want the mind to be like this beautiful, calm lake. And the calm lake means that when the waters are calm and clear, I can see all the way through to the depth of the lake, the very bottom where there's some beautiful rocks and fish swimming through. When the lake is clear and calm like glass, then it reflects the beauty around it, the beautiful trees, the colors of the trees, the sky. Have you ever seen that when that's reflecting the sky, how beautiful that is? And that is the analogy of what we're working towards with each one of us for our minds, is we want to have clarity and clearness and sharpness in the mind, so that these koshas we're studying, the layers of who we are, they're clear, so it shines through to the Atman, to the essence of who I am, my soul. And in that, I have this, this beautiful depth, and then I also reflect what's beautiful on the outside too, so I reflect an external beauty out there. So yoga, through these very simple like dog cookie techniques, helps us train the mind to come back here and now, here and now. So when I do that, I always say, you know, it's not like we always say there's no destination in yoga. Yoga is meant to make us all better people, more clear people, more focused people, more compassionate people, more loving people, all these things. And this becomes for us, as Iyengar would describe it as well, a meditation and movement. Every time you come to your mat, this is really meant to be your meditation. So I say sometimes someone will tell me, oh, I know I have a daily meditation practice. I'm like, good for you. Oh, I meditate for 2 hours. Yeah, good, that's great, or whatever. But it's like saying I'm on second series or third series in Ashtanga. It's like, none of that really matters. What matters is just that you have a practice that, that you take into your life, is the idea. That's what we really want from this. So why would me focusing on my breath and my drishti and bringing my mind back here, why would this make me in any way a better person? How does that work? Is it yoga magic? Do the yoga fairies descend? I'm a little more angelic.
Well, negativity and garbage and things doesn't stick. See through it.
I think you can take that focus. If you can focus on your math, then you can take that into your work. And focus on your tasks at hand or your friendships or your...
Yeah. Absolutely. There's so many ways we do. So we could sit here for an hour and have a discussion on the benefits of meditation, of any type of meditation or mindful practice, and how it affects all of our lives. You know, all the things that we do, it makes us more clear and strong and more connected. It quiets us down, because oftentimes we talk about this lake there being turbulence, you know, when there's turbulence in the lake. Turbulence in our life is just external life happening, you know. And if we let external life control our happiness or our joy or contentment, it's a, you know, train wreck sometimes. So the idea of calming the mind is whatever turbulence is happening on the outside, my mind or my being, my innermost self remains calm and grounded through it. It's one of the greatest gifts of the practice, really. So today, we're just going to add one thing to your drishti, your breath. The third thing we're adding, which Ray said earlier, was we're going to add the postures. We're going to add postures and vinyasa. So this is one of the ways that this becomes like our container for holding the breath, or for holding the mind, is the body movement. So Ashtanga very specifically says, Jana Shirsasana, the pose is called out, Sapta position. You guys have just jumped through. And in Ashtanga, we don't do this, right? This, Guruji would say, is not correct. We do a vinyasa. So you study, Ashtangis know it's a 2 vinyasa entrance, a 2 vinyasa exit, right? So the Ashtangi, I was correcting someone this morning. This is the entrance. Inhale, straight arms, pulled in belly, pushed out foot. Brumadhya drishti, my third eye drishti, and I focus here. It's a long inhale. And then exhaling is the next vinyasa. I bend the elbows and move forward on an exhale, and I switch to pada drishti, the foot drishti. And in this, four cycles of breath, the exit is. And if you ever have a practice where you're really articulating the specifics of the vinyasa, you will find that your mind was fully present. You will find that you had a very mindful, beautiful, powerful practice. No matter what your flexibility was, if your knee was hurting, your shoulder was bothering you, doesn't matter. I can modify almost anything, right? But that is what holds the Ashtangi's mind here, is these beautiful entrance and exits that are specific. So we're not just jumping around from one pose to the next in Ashtanga. We're really focusing on that inner strength, externally using the physical body, the energy body, pulling the mind body to this present moment. And in that we'll find, you know, today, you know, I talk about this little space between my fingernails. You guys have heard me talk about that space before? What's that space between my fingernails that I love to call this space?
Meditation.
Yes, meditation. So in Ashtanga we have 4 internal limbs. Pratyahara, Dharana, which is focus, hold your mind. And the next one is called dhyana, which means meditation. So the translation for that is just meditation, just holding yourself present. So I'm saying this little space in between my fingernails is this little space between your vinyasas. I inhale, there's that space, and I exhale. And in that place we find ourselves fully present. Samasthiti.